Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to the program. It is 2 scores+2 since President Paul Biya acceded to the Supreme Magistracy of the Cameroonian political scene, which he baptized as the New Deal, and as he answered in an intriguing question from a French journalist. It is not by wish, but it is by tenacity that one stays in power. President Paul Biya has been steadfast for 42 years, and the anniversary, as usual, will be celebrated on November 6. On Press Hour today, we shall look at the achievements of the New Deal and what is lacking to attain the goals he set from the onset of his accession to power. To talk about this very timely, topical, and a topic of national interest, we have with us Albert Njembonde. Albert Njembonde is the political desk editor, CRTV Radio. Albert, welcome to Press Hour.
It's my pleasure, Nda.
And we have Grimba Nda, Deputy Secretary General of the Social Democratic Front, the SDF. Welcome to Press Hour.
Thank you very much, and Kilian, it's a pleasure to be here. I must say this is my first time on being on your TV debate platform, and I hope that by the end of today, Cameroonians will be well enlightened on the achievements as well as the failures of the New Deal regime.
Yes, we brought you to point out some of those achievements, maybe where they have been lacking, not actually failure, because he's riding on, and that's why we brought you to the set. Thank you for coming. Now, even whatever the case, he is the head of state. We are not looking at him as the president of a party. Thank you very much. All Cameroonians are supposed to celebrate this day. Now, join me to welcome Honorable Njume Peter Ambang, who is a member of Parliament for the CPDM. You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Kilian, it's always a pleasure being part of this very, very enlightening program of yours. And today again, I thank God that I'm here.
Yes, and our own Professor Elvis Ngole, member of the Central Committee of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM. Prof, thank you. Each time we call, you answer. Welcome to President.
It's always a pleasure. You know, I'm a Republican and I love to be part of the affairs of the Republic, especially when I'm in the company of very distinguished and highly esteemed fellow citizens, such as the ones on this panel.
Thank you very much.
I feel very comfortable, and I feel proud to be a citizen of a republic that is called Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Prof. And this is Press Hour. We always kick off by what the newspapers fed on in the week, and Emmanuel Avemnu read the newspapers for Press Hour.
Newspapers in Cameroon opened the week ending in what can be termed one too many killings in the northwest region. There is outrage in municipal updates as spineless terrorists killed Deputy Mayor of Bamenda. The Guardian Post describes the gruesome killing as despicable and senseless. The Voice, advocating for an end to the bloodshed, presents the mayor as latest victim. And as Lifetime newspaper also reports of the murder of the Bamenda 2 mayor, the Herald Tribune brings to the fore the killing of 2 civilians in 2 hours and injuring of students by gunmen in Bamenda. Cameroon Insider writes, killing of Bamenda 2 mayor when the horror movie continues, before the Center for Human Rights Development in Africa calls for investigation into the killing in the horizon. Notorious separatist fighters are then neutralized in Cameroon Tribune. To the Guardian Post, soldiers send Amber General Lucifer to hell and also kills 8 fighters in raid in Meme Division of the Southwest region. Researchers are reported upbeat in Cameroon Insider's Paul Biya increases perks, then expressed gratitude for increment of scientific research allowances in Cameroon Tribune, especially as Cameroon aims to boost industrialization with its One Council, One Policy strategy in the voice. Such will then make way for ambitions Cameroon has to top world plantation production on Eco Outlook, as life-changing plantation transformation unit goes operational in Bangem in November, according to this paper. At a time Africa is coming together for its gas production in Cameroon Tribune, Minister Fukalistus Gentry announces multi-billion tire factory in the southwest region. In municipal updates, then reiterates government's resolve to revitalize the economy. In the Herald Tribune, before the Guardian Post presents what it terms hot files Biya should handle to resurrect nation, like chase dead woods and unproductive ministers, fill vacuum left by deceased government members, and send retired governors, SDOs and DOs home, among others. But the interest of the Voice newspaper is on what it headlines, Dismal State of Roads, Mbargangele opens can of worms. To the Guardian Post, Mbargangele reports Nganu Njumesi to Biya for worsening road infrastructure. Before Nganu Njumesi replies Mbargangele on nightmarish Yaoundé-Motengene Road. In the Horizon newspaper, the Post reports that the police boss has charged 2,444 Motengene police trainees to protect civilians, just when Justice Minister Laurent Esso regrets lengthy periods of awaiting trials for crime suspects in the sun. New electricity rates then go operational in Cameroon. In municipal updates, Cameroon Tribune reports that the new tariffs are uniform for everyone. Cameroon Insider then announces that a recycling plant to cost 80 billion CFA francs is on the way to recycle waste in Yaoundé, and so the town could look better. And those were the papers for you.
Thank you very much, Emanuela. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just tuning in, this is Press Hour, and we are broadcasting live from Studio 4 of CRTV Production Center at Mbalatu in Yaoundé. Just keep your cool. We're going to give you the type of debate that you need for a Sunday afternoon. Now, Prof, our topic is the New Deal, achievements and perspective. Actually, we want to look at the achievements of 42 years of President Paul Biya in power and see what is it that he hasn't yet completed in his agenda, call it program or even vision. We are going to start with the journalist on the set, Albert Njembonde. If you are a pressman, if you were to look at Paul Biya today and say, yes, Mr. President, we are happy you did this to Cameroon, you did this to Cameroonians, what will you say?
First of all, to say, I will tell the President that 42 years of his being in power have been fairly good, but like every other citizen, to say that it could be better, and also to comment that the act of nation building is never complete. Even the most developed nations still do have challenges, emerging challenges, old challenges, which call for all those who are not only the president, but all those who are vote holders, all those who are state functionaries, all those who are patriots, to be able to help the president to attain. And so when I say it's fairly good and we could do better, I'm looking at the provision of basic amenities like water, electricity, roads. You bear with me that a lot has been done, but like I say, we could do better. We have the problems of culture of maintenance. Maybe we're going to come to that.
We're actually going to come to that.
What
yes.
I want to say is, with respect to basic amenities, we all know what the country was before now. When it comes to issues of civil liberties, we know what it was, and we all know what it is today. We've made giant strides, but yet there are still some challenges which call on all Cameroonians to help the president.
Thank you. We are going to get to those challenges. And I just move over to the extreme right of this set to meet Grimbal Nda, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Social Democratic Front. You may want to ask why we brought him. Cameroonians know that from the 1990s, when the political potatoes was very hot, it was the SDF that was leading many other political parties, and it has consistently stayed in the opposition while others, came into alliances, they came into some other forms of, some even just fell off the track along the line. Now, Greenbaum, we are going to come to, as you said, where things have not worked, because we cannot be painting a completely white picture. Now, as head of state, we first want to look at where has it worked.
Okay, thank you. It's been 42 years since 1982. It is true that in contemporary science, we cannot completely say something is 100% bad or 100% good. But as you ask, where has it gone right? I'll first of all begin by saying that as an individual, as a Cameroonian, I have a PhD degree today, and it was in Cameroon. From my primary one, nursery one education up to PhD level, I did it in Cameroon. I did not have any of my qualifications out of the country. That is a plus, despite the problems we have in Cameroon's educational system. I still want to say that the education in Cameroon is relatively free, because with 50,000 francs, you can do a PhD in Cameroon.
And we should share that opinion to say that when a student pays 50,000 francs, the state has added a figure to the 50, which makes 500 on relative terms.
Yes.
So the cost of the school or university study is 500.
Yes, according to analysis, the most expensive state university run by the government is the University of Boya, where if we want to estimate, as you are saying, the fee there will be about 700,000 francs.
Okay.
And the cheapest is the University of Yaoundé Toussoua, where the fee will be estimated about 450,000 francs. I think this is something that most Cameroonians don't know. Yes, they only pay 50,000 francs, which is something to applaud, because relatively in sub-Saharan Africa, in terms of education, Cameroon is ranked above the average.
Thank you very much. You continue with some other achievements.
It is a good aspect. There is also this aspect of civil liberties, which you earlier mentioned. But permit me say that this aspect cannot be mentioned without making reference to the SDF. Because if we have civil liberties today in Cameroon, it is also partly, not even partly, mostly due to the opposition to the activities of the SDFs in the 1990s. Remember that the government under President Paul Biya was very, very reluctant to submit to the new wave of democratization across Africa and across the globe. And so because of this very strong democratic force, from Nijon Fundi of blessed memory, multipartyism could come in Cameroon.
It is said, and it is proven, that true, some people in President Paul Biya's party, as the chairman of a party, were against it. And he was the one who came out and said, no, we have to accept. So, yes, the STF did that. But the credit also should go to the person who had the power to refuse. But he accepted.
Yes, that's why I'm saying that the credit goes to both, but more to the part where pressure came from. That's what I'm saying. Because the head of state had the power, the legitimate power to accept or not to accept. He accepted under pressure. That's the truth.
Okay.
He accepted under pressure. And but civil liberties, unfortunately, is being threatened today. We see how journalists are being murdered for their opinions.
That will be the second part of our discussion. Thank you very much. Now we're going to go around the table. I'm going to go to Honorable Peter and Njume Peter Ambang, some of the achievements of your party, because you have the CPDM, but also achievements of the head of state, because on the 6th of November, we as Cameroonians are celebrating President Paul Biya, who is the President of the Republic. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think before I continue, I just want to make a very fast correction from what Mr. Gilbert said. Yes. When he says that most of the credit, for democracy, liberty that we have today goes to opposition. That is a pressure that no, I would say no. He has forgotten that President Paul Biya, when he came to power, he had a vision. And that vision was in his book, Communal Liberalism. Mm-hmm. And in this book, you could see clearly that he was a man who was already open, to democracy, open to freedom. And this opportunity came, and he was simply trying to implement the vision that he had in his book. So, Ms. Nda, go back to records. That is the simple truth. Just as he could have said no, but then he had a vision. So that is the first thing. Now, to add to what others have said, a lot has been done by President Paul Biya. But I want to cite particularly the aspect of peace. Mm-hmm. Because it is in this area that he has even won international rewards and recognition and respect. The way he manages insecurity, the way he manages conflicts, the way he has been able to, not only in Cameroon, but at the level of the region and internationally. And you know that in 2017, he spoke out at the UN General Assembly on the importance of peace in sustainable development and for humanity. So it is in this area of peace that I want to really dwell on today, because there is no price for peace.
Okay, thank you very much. Professor Elvis Ngolingoli, the Republican.
Yes.
Yes, some of the achievements of the New Deal.
Yes, 42 years of President Biya in power are 42 years of lots of achievements, great achievements. And I've always said, as a Republican, we have to always, we always have to be objective, because by definition, a republic is a political system in which the people are the ones who determine who governs and how they are governed. That's why it's called a republic. Mm-hmm. It could be called something else. But for us, ours is a republic. Therefore, because we are the ones, we the citizens, the people who decide, we have to try to be objective, because it depends on us. And as a Republican, when you look at 42 years of President Biya in power, you're looking at 42 years of visionary and inspiring leadership. Visionary and inspiring method of managing state power. And when you look at those 42 years, it's like you can look at the glass, 42 years. After 42 years, policy making is like pouring water in a glass, or pouring whatever, soil or whatever in a glass. 42 years, would you, in all objectivity, claim that a glass is empty? That's common sense does not qualify you to say it's empty. It cannot be empty. Mm-hmm. It shows that something has gotten into the glass in 42 years. And in 42 years, we can say, what has gone into the glass called Cameroon? A lot. Mr. Dr. Greenberg, because you just said you got a PhD.
Yes.
So I have the right to call you Doctor. Dr. Greenberg. In 42 years, and I'm very glad that you're objective enough to have admitted that there have been achievements, civil liberties, multipartism. That's good. Many people don't look at it that way, but where I disagree with you, and the Honorable Njume Peter has just, I'm taking cue from him, is that from my own point of view, I did my PhD in the United States of America, and to do a PhD in the United States of America today costs you nothing less than 25 million as a student, as you know. I did it at the University of Denver in Colorado, USA. To you to do a PhD, if you don't have about 25 million, that's about $50,000. You cannot, a year, by the way, you cannot get a PhD. But in Cameroon, just with 50,000 that you pay, you can get a PhD. That in itself shows that there is something positive, successful about the management of state power by President Biya in 42 years in Cameroon. But to be, as the common man says.
Yes. Prof, let me look at the glass you've been talking about and say, yes, it has been filled with water or whatever. Now, one of the things that we find in that glass is diplomacy. Can you tell us how diplomacy has worked on that?
Yes, that's the field of my expertise because I got my PhD in international relations.
That's why I asked you
that is one of the areas in which the President Biya stands out as having been a great achiever. One, in diplomacy, President Biya has diversified our diplomacy. He has expanded the field of partners. I mean, when we began, we had fewer partners. He has opened up our diplomacy today because he has announced that he has launched and initiated a kind of diplomacy where he doesn't make any enemies. He's a very moderate person. He believes in peace. He believes in friendship with everybody. And he focuses on the interests of Cameroon. So the first achievement is that our field of partners has expanded. Today, Cameroon is everywhere, has partners all over, beyond the traditional field. That's already a big plus for us.
Yes,
secondly,
and it is said that at the time, people thought Cameroon was going to go into war with Nigeria.
Yes.
Yes, he kept the guns aside and used diplomacy. Can you tell us how he used that diplomacy to solve that as a conflict or war, and then by extension to other conflicts, as Honorable Njume said?
The second achievement is that President Biya, the world has accepted that in Africa, if you want a president, a leader of peace, a leader who believes in peace and he is the epitome of peace, President Biya is where you'll go to. And because of that, we see that President Biya in 42 years has succeeded to manage all the conflicts that will compromise or can disturb peace, not only for Cameroon, but for the rest of Africa. And the best example is that the conflict that we had with our sister country, our brother country, Nigeria, from 1993, that country was solved with the Green Tree Accord in 2006, and I was in New York at Green Tree with President Biya. When that accord was signed, I was there. I was a lucky, privileged Cameroonian to have been in the president's suite to see how that Green Tree Accord was signed with the Nigerian president. But what that has done today is that because President Biya has succeeded in that area of managing peace, today partners, the whole world, when it's looking for peace, they tend to see Cameroon and cite Cameroon as a good example. Take the case, for example, of the internal problem we have in the Northwest and Southwest. President Biya has shown his determination and courage to bring about a solution to that problem through peaceful methods of dialoguing, negotiation, and reform. And he's doing well at it. He's doing well at it. Because we see the results are that the situation is improving. That's incredible. Yes. Someone else would have done it differently. And it is not that he doesn't have the power to do it differently. But because he is the epitome of peace, he has preferred to use, and he has said so several times, that he has the power, no doubt about that, but he chooses to use that power through the method of dialogue, through the method of negotiation, through the method of reform,
Yes.
And it's doing good.
And the dialogue is continuous.
Off.
It has not
It
yet
is continuous.
Yeah,
It's paying off.
we're going to come back. I know.
Yeah, I wanted to, if you permit, I just wanted to say something that, Prof, what you are saying is very dangerous, because when it comes to matters of peace now in Cameroon, we cannot say Cameroon is a peaceful country. President Biya was peaceful, but he's no longer peaceful. That is a problem, because the major national dialogue, I can tell you, even with facts, data, Mr. Ndakilian, that it has not resolved it has not resolved anything. It has not resolved anything. Why? Because most of the things that have been resolved are things that were not even supposed to have been a problem before the crisis. That is a problem. Go to Prof. I know you follow international events very well. Sure. Data shows that among the first 27 countries, peaceful African countries, Cameroon is not among.
Yes, now let me ask you.
So Cameroon has lost that peace it used to enjoy, and I want to remind Prof that President Biya would not be judged by the international community, he will be judged by Cameroonians.
This is what
yes, he will be judged by Cameroonians. And the pain that the Cameroonians in the northwest, southwest, and in the far north are going through, and the government is just sitting and watching, is serious. How can President Biya be ready to fly thousands of kilometers to go to the US to attain a summons from Joe Biden, but cannot move to Bamenda, cannot move to the Southwest to talk with his people? That is a problem.
Let me ask you this question.
During times of crisis, the head of state does not delegate powers.
When he talks to his people from Yaoundé, must he obligatorily go to...
Yes, he must, because it has a psychological impact.
But now, let me ask you another question. No, let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
What you're saying is questionable, except I think that there are the people who are refusing to listen, not him, refusing to speak. Now, let me ask you this question. Professor Evin Golengole just said he decided to use other means, having power to use suppressive. It is said that those who are fighting the non-state armed groups, that you will see one a kilometer away and see the military a kilometer this way. Now, military people have been punished for doing what they are not, which is not professional. Don't you think that he has used a peaceful means, as Professor Evin Golengole said, because he could use drones, he could use aeroplanes, and then firepower. So I'm just asking you, when you say that nothing
means, the problem is that it is ineffective. It is not working. That is the problem.
It is good. It is good. Yes. That you have accepted. We don't want you to correct that. You've corrected it.
I'm not against that. I'm not against that. The problem is that it is not working.
You are very sincere. You have corrected that. That was excessive what you said. That's what we say, right?
The example of this is that he's speaking here freely.
Yes.
I had a couple of points to raise. Haven't listened to the others speak. To begin with, Doctor, I cover military affairs, and the key word has been on defense and security forces to exercise restraint. Sometimes they even get nervous. When they fairly see the enemy coming, and they don't have other instructions telling them to fire back. I can tell you that we have lost men on the ground.
Of course.
Simply because of the instruction to exercise restraint.
That's what
because the head of state wants to keep, he has said it repeatedly, I think the Prime Minister said it while in Bamenda and Boya in his first trips, that the head of state has said he cannot fight with his own children. So I think that we should be able.
But in the airport in 2017, he made a statement which was a declaration.
No, you never declared
wrongly interpreted. I can tell you, because we keep the facts, I can tell you the president asked the international community to bear him witness over the exaction of non-state armed groups, call them separatists, and their killings of men in uniform. That outing came after exactions in Manu, notably in Manfi. We keep the records because I know that there will be a time when all of this will have to be talked about.
Sure.
There is another aspect which I wanted to raise because we have children who are also watching. We should be able to tell them some of these things. When we talk 42 years of President Paul Biya, we are not talking 42 years of the CPDM.
No, of course not.
So we are not talking of 42 years of the achievements of the CPDM.
That's exactly what we underlined when we started.
That's why I said
So it's important for us to make that demarcation between
the party, and the nation.
If not, we are not talking democracy here. Because that president we are talking about is in an alliance with other parties. He is being voted by people who are not affiliated to any of these parties. So it's important, so much so that even those of the party who may want to celebrate President Biya's achievements of their party, if they do so, should also be able to be accountable and take responsibility for the shortcomings or what some will call the failures. So it's important. But I wanted to make note of 42 years. Let me learn. 42 years to say we have been using the imagery of the glass, whether it's half filled or it's half full, or it's half empty. I wanted to talk about 4 points. I will not elaborate on them. 42 years to talk about an exceptional longevity in power. To say that Cameroonians have been fairly tolerant also with the president because we've had moments of political upheavals, we've had moments of economic instability. I wanted to say the party has been quite supportive to the president. Many of the presidents who emerged like President Biya lost the favor of their parties along the way.
Indeed.
And also to say that we should salute the loyalty of the army, because in many countries, the army has also fairly wanted to test power and breach the principles of democracy. So all these elements put together, for those who want to celebrate 42 years like it will be this week, they should remember some of these guidelines. Celebrate the entire people of Cameroon.
Thank you very much, Albert. I should say you're political desk editor. That's why you bring out some of these points with precision. We also have some other people who are going to react to the achievements of the president of the republic, and the first person we're going to take. Maybe we'll get your contribution before we go there.
Very, very briefly, yes. Thank you very much. I just want to make this remark. You know, Cameroonians are watching. The whole world is watching. I just want to plead, you know, with Cameroonians, especially the opposition, to understand that many Cameroonians have died because of this crisis in the northwest, southwest, and extreme north. And they should not politicize it. It's so dangerous because lives are involved. Lives are involved, and these lives are very precious. To be very honest with you, we have to thank the head of state. I mean, as a person, as the St. James Bond said, as commander-in-chief of the armed forces, he could have been tempted to do whatever he would have done just to see how he could bring peace. And when Dr. Nda says that it has not been effective, it has not been effective because he has not been ruthless. He has been moving at snail pace, still struggling to see how he can make people to understand. That is why he decided to use another tactic, which is this one, to build kind of relationship, kind of cohesion between the population and the army. And this has worked very, very well, especially in the extreme north, when now the Boko Haram has now resorted to do what? Hit and run tactic. In order to go back and reinforce. It wasn't like that before.
Yes,
now,
exactly.
because the population is now working in synergy with the military, you see, things are happening differently.
Very good. And in the Northwest and Southwest, there are some communities who are implementing that, and it is also working. Now,
and in the Northwest and Southwest, you see, what is happening is that the head of state has made it in such a way that the military is exercising a lot of professionalism.
Yes, and restraint.
Exactly.
Thank you. Let's watch the reactions from some of our compatriots who reacted. We're going to start with Mr. Fru Jonathan, who is a chargé de mission in CPDM Central Committee.
We're going to be celebrating 42 years of President Paul Biya's accession to power, which means that he has been ruling this country for 42 years. You were asking what we're celebrating. We're celebrating the achievements the president has registered for all this time. We are celebrating what we call a success story. We're celebrating the victories that President Paul Biya has made for Cameroon. In fact, you will understand that when President Paul Biya took over office in 1982, he gave himself a roadmap. He put his vision clearly to Cameroonians. He said he was going to liberalize this country, he was going to democratize the country, he was going to bring economic and social growth, he was going to bring diplomatic victories for our country. In fact, these were the pillars on which President Paul Biya put himself when he took over office. And it's important that if we are looking at it 42 years afterwards, we have to go back to these pillars, to this roadmap. Has he achieved anything? Let us start just with democracy and liberalization. You know, before President Paul Biya took over office, in fact, we couldn't talk about democracy in Cameroon. Public liberties, press liberties were inexistent. You remember the newspapers, before they were published, they had to go through censorship. The private radio stations could not talk. Even at Sierra TV, at a certain moment, some of your colleagues could not be able to talk because there were no liberties. So in 1990, President Paul Biya came up with the laws that liberated the sector, and today you have a plethora of newspapers, private newspapers. We have radio stations, we have television stations which talk freely. In fact, they discuss whatever they want all the time, even talking about the president in a very derogatory manner. They are free to talk. We are talking of democracy. When we talk of democracy, we are talking of transparency in elections. Because for you to talk about democracy without transparency, this is not possible. We know that President Paul Biya completely reformed the electoral process in Cameroon. Before 1982, elections were organized by MINAT, which is a government organ. Ballot boxes were wooden. The electoral registers were manual, which means that they could be manipulated at all times. But when President Paul Biya came in, he said he was going to bring democracy. And democracy means this process has to be reformed to make it more transparent and more effective. That's why what we go through ONEL 1, ONEL 2, today we have ELECAM, an independent body that is able to manage and organize elections in our country in a free and transparent atmosphere. We are talking of political parties. You remember, in 1982, we had one political party in Cameroon. In 1985, the CPDM was created. In the 1990s, there was a lot of people clamoring for democracy, even though it was already on the agenda of the president, but President Paul Biya accepted. He said, we should get ready for multipartyism. And he opened the doors, and today in Cameroon, we have several political parties. We count them in hundreds who operate freely and can go in for elections. Now, if you look at the social domain, we're talking here of education, we're talking of public health. It's important for us to see what was existing in 1982 and see what is existing today. If you look at the educational sector, we see the schools have been developed. Primary schools now are free. Primary schools exist in almost all the villages all reporters, private and government primary schools, even the university. The university, we used to have one university, people will leave extreme north to come and school in Yaoundé University, but today we have more than 10 state universities and so many private universities who are not only on general education, but professionalizing our education, making it to be so that our children, when they go to school, they come out like professionals. It's not what used to exist before. People don't longer study history, geography only, but they go into professional education. If you look at public health, in the public health domain, we see that the number of hospitals that we had when President Paul Biya took office has multiplied. In fact, we have health districts in every subdivision. In fact, we have medical assistants at our doorsteps. Major diseases like AIDS, like tuberculosis, like malaria are able to be handled today, unlike what existed before. So we feel that President Paul Biya, for 42 years, has been able to realize his roadmap. He's working strictly on a roadmap. And President Paul Biya has a destination. He's taking Cameroon somewhere. And where is he taking Cameroon to? He's taking Cameroon to emergence. That is his vision for 2035.
Well, thank you very much. I think we should just take the last reactions and then come back to the set. We also have some other Cameroonians who enumerated the achievements of President Paul Biya as head of state for 42 years. We have Henry Nzuo Botany, who is a development agent and researcher in agriculture. We also have Chenwin Peter, who is mayor of Bamenda 2 Council. Yes, let's have their reactions. That's going to be brief.
Men of His Excellency President Paul Biya have contributed immensely for the development of Kupe-Manongoba division in particular, in almost all its sectors: education, and political, social, and otherwise, but most importantly, in the agricultural sector, in which I'm particularly concerned as a researcher. We have witnessed and seen and that the youth of Kupe-Manongoba division recently prove that they are working so hard to contribute to the development of the Republic of Cameroon. And they have been rewarded with a factory to transform plantains to other derivatives. This factory is going to create decent jobs within the agricultural sector, improve on the research, to increase on the productivity, to improve on the poverty situation, to solve the hunger and hunger-related crisis, and to equally solve the market situation within the farming ranking population. And this is going to benefit a large proportion of people within Kupe-Manongoba division who make up a farming family. This is all in conjunction to the second generation agricultural policy of His Excellency President Paul Biya in the New Deal government, executed by the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development.
There are many achievements with respect to the New Deal. Me sitting here as the mayor of Bamenda 2 Council, I want to start using myself as an example of a New Deal. At first we have just a centralized system, but today we have a decentralized system. We mayors today, we recruit teachers, we recruit nurses, we pay workers, we award contracts, just to tell you the liberal system of the achievement of head of state. Today, when we got started in the early days, the country, we had just one state university, which was University of Yaoundé 1. But today, we have 11 state universities. It's a new deal. We talk of freedom of press. Today, we have just about more than 500 press media all over the country. They publish very freedom, without any distraction on the rest, to tell you that it's a new deal. In those days, we had political, it was just one political party, which was the ruling party, but today we have about 300 political parties. That is part of a new deal achievement. Just to mention about our diplomatic relationship out of country, Cameroon is very peaceful. We've never gone to war with our neighbors. Look at the constitution, look at Nigeria, which are neighbors here, that the Bakassi Peninsula, which was resolved peacefully, and today we are living very peacefully with Nigeria. That's a new thing. The head of state is a man of vision. He has never loved to shed blood or to go to war. If you look at as of recent, Philemon Yang is at the helm of the United Nations. This is a great achievement for the nation in the history of Cameroon. For Cameroon to chair the United Nations is a great deal. It's a new deal. And we appreciate our head of state for the vision and for the peace and love he has for Cameroonians. Not to talk of health facilities all over the country, ring road constructed. Here we have solar energy, just to mention a few that we of the councils, we have witnessed because we have been able to give light, water in other areas. It's a new deal.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Those were some of the contributions from some Cameroonians, Southwest and Northwest regions, talking about the achievements. I go back to the image of a glass half full and half empty. Now, let us see what you on the set, representing some of us out there as Cameroonians, what do you think that the President of the Republic in 42 years has not done that he needs to do to complete his agenda? I'm going to start with Dr. Nda Grimbal.
Okay, thank you. I will go by using the example of the glass. I don't know, I've been looking, mine is the smallest, maybe because of the SDM.
You decided to empty it yourself.
No, what I want to say in all sincerity is that this is the achievements and this is what is left to be done. There is so much to. I am, Mr. Anda, I am flabbergasted to hear what some of the CPDM elites are saying. Having more than 300 political parties is an achievement. It's not an achievement. Achievement is found on the standard of living of the people.
They justify when they say that they justify it. Look at your continuum. When they say we have more than 300 political parties and there should be 368 or something.
369.
How they justify it in terms of liberty. They don't just say a number. Okay, you can continue. That's the justification.
No. We have liberty, but we also have duty. We have responsibility.
What should be done?
Duty.
What is lacking?
You're an example of that.
Secondly, when someone is saying that Bia has a vision and a destination is taking us to, at this time, that person is not serious. At the age of 92 years, what vision does the president has again for us? CPDM
are you talking about his vision or the vision for the state?
CPDM elite should be telling the president to go and rest because it is really time for him to rest. That is the truth. And I want to tell Mr. Nje Bonde Abel that
before you go,
cannot separate President Paul Biya as a person from the CPDM. You cannot. And I can prove it.
Dr. Nda,
yes.
Let me also tell you that in the president's agenda, he made it loud and clear that the time is coming, he's going to decide whether he will go and rest or he will continue. So resting is not an embarrassment if that's what you think that you use, because he uses that word.
No, it is instead the CPDM that thinks that it is an embarrassment. Okay. It is we who are saying that.
About the head of
state. The head of state. That is why I'm saying that you cannot dissociate the head of state from the CPDM. Why? In Germany, for example, in Germany, to be a member, you cannot be a civil servant. Why you are in a political party? You cannot be a member of a political party and a member of government or civil servant.
Yes.
That is why those countries are the way they are. But in Cameroon, all our professors have transformed into militants of CPD.
This is the question.
That is why the country cannot work. That is the problem.
He will not have time again.
You will not way forward is for the CPDM elites to tell the president to rest. because that is one of the hallmarks of leadership.
Thank you for your contribution.
The hallmark of leadership is not for the president to leave and for the SDF to come in.
Now let me show. No, please. You have used 4 minutes.
Yeah.
The question I asked you was, what do you think he can do? You have answered it. Different question.
No, I have answered. I have answered. The answer is that. I've answered. The answer is that the head of state has done what he could do in 42 years, and it's now time for him to give over the baton of command to the SDF. It could even be within someone within the CPDM.
But therefore don't insist.
It could be someone within the CPDM.
Let the CPDM decide not to.
Bonde has the microphone.
Thank you very much. Just to say that we ought to make a difference.
1 minute 30 seconds.
We
When
ought to
you
make
do
a
time
difference
check, yes.
between politics, policies, and polity.
Partisanship.
And to know that the dynamics of one country will not necessarily be the dynamics in another. But to come now to questions of policies. In this polity called Cameroon, we have a serious problem of maintenance. I think that President Biya and those helping to implement his policies, in order to safeguard these achievements, we must have a culture of maintenance. In order for the president to complete his work, like you say, we must change our mindset to build a corrupt-free Cameroon. Corruption still remains rampant. Corruption still remains a major problem that undermines meritocracy, because when I talk about corruption, I'm talking about not only about money, siphoning. I'm talking about mindset, moralization. Yes. I'm talking about rigor in everything we do.
Thank you.
And I also have an issue of the culture of renewal, which means introducing young people in the system to take over. The gap is beginning to be too wide.
Thank you. No, you cannot continue to talk.
Should not be seen as a youth. Then finally, the culture of citizen participation. Whatever we do, let everybody feel like I am involved.
Yes, thank you.
That we can
Honorable Peter.
Yes, thank you very much. I think the question is so pertinent. With all sincerity, I think the first thing that I think if I were to advise President Paul Biya, in all honesty, I would tell him, Mr. President, there is need to improve on our governance. There is a need for accountability, and the mechanism for checks and balances should be put in place. Here, I will tell him, Mr. President, please, permit the legislative arm of the government to play its role. That we parliamentarians should be able to play our role in controlling government action.
Thank you.
No, just the last point.
Yes.
I think, with all honesty, there are a few things that are still to be done to fix this country. And those things are in the Constitution. So there should be a review of the Constitution. In all honesty.
Thank you very much. The rest of the time now, 2.5 minutes, I give it to you, Prof.
Oh, thank you very much for giving me 2.5 minutes. The first thing I would say is that there have been 42 years of great achievements, and a lot has been achieved in different domains. But like we said, using this symbolism of the glass is more full than empty.
That means half full.
Yes, half full. And so let us be more of Afro-optimists and see the glass as being half full or more than half full. And therefore, that justifies why we should work even harder to fill the rest of the glass.
By doing what?
By taking conscious efforts. For example, we've heard what Mr. Albert Jembo has said and Honorable Njume has said. I will just take you from them by saying that one of the things that has to be done is that in our participation as citizens of this republic, we, the citizens, the 30 million of us, should join the president to see Cameroon in terms of what he called the New Deal, in terms of an open society, a free society, a society of integrity, a society of values, where we continue to make the effort towards a great destiny, an effort where all of us will go towards that destiny. But what we should avoid as we move in the next few years ahead of us is that we should avoid thinking that belonging to a political party is the solution to problems. We all belong to some political parties. And once we belong to political parties and we think that everything is partisan and every solution is partisan, we are missing the point. We are first citizens of the Republic before we are partisans of a political party. And therefore, we should always, in whatever we say, whatever position we take, not make the mistake that we are speaking to a public. We are trying to educate the public. In no society does opposition determine civil liberties or multipartism. It's always the power in place. So whether you are SDF or you are whatever party, you are not the one who determines civil liberties. It is the power in place
what they
that
do,
determines
what they say, and some of us agree with them, is that they form part of civil society. And without a strong civil society, without a strong opposition, the ruling party will actually not do what the people want. That's what they are saying.
Yeah, but they should not make it that it is they who determine. No, it is my turn to speak. You know, let it not be that you are miseducating, you are misinforming the public when you give the impression that the determinant of laws and liberties, it is when you are in the opposition. No. You have to be in power and you have to have the vision and the philosophy to want to liberalize, to democratize. If not, if you decide that you're going to be a dictator, like we know in many places, all that nonsense will not take place. If this were a dictatorship, Dr. Ndai will not be in place. Because the president has a philosophy that let's go forward in openness, in freedom, and in democracy. That is why we can sit. I'm very glad he's sitting next to me.
Even though the opposition is part of the legislative power.
And it's part of legislative power. So when he said here that the major national dialogue, for example, according to him, did not achieve much. I, who happen to have taken part, and I'm sure many of us took part, I know that, may he so rest in peace, his chairperson,
Ni John
Frundi,
a very strong statesman.
He was present, and that the late Cardinal Tumi, may he so rest in peace also, I was his vice president in the commission that he presided over. We were there. You cannot say that these people were there for nothing, or that they were not citizens of the Republic. They were men of integrity.
The problem is that government is not listening to them. That is the problem.
Thank you, Prof.
The proposals are there, but government is not listening. That is the problem.
Thank you very much. We have signals that we've used all our time. Thank you very much for coming. Ben Jembonde, Political Desk Editor, CRTV Radio. Thank you very much, Dr. Grimbanda, who is Deputy Secretary General of the Social Democratic Front. The SDF, thank you, Honorable Njume Peter Ambang, Member of Parliament, and Professor Elvis Ngolingoli, Member of the Central Committee of the CPDM. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. We're going to have a full broadcast of this program on Monday at 2:30 on CRTV Premium and at 9 p.m. on Wednesday on CRTV News. God bless you.
You see, he has emptied his glass.